Hello and welcome to the extended playthrough of the Vanilla Plus build. So we're going to start with a new character so you can kind of see some of the new mods installed that have to do with character creation. So we'll start with a Khajiit, as the Khajiit has a new skin. So let's start with a male, and then we're going to choose from the possible classes. Now what you would normally do is go straight down here to custom class, but we don't actually have to do that because all these classes are brand new and updated due to the better default classes mod. So looking at these, I think I'm going to go with an assassin. Cat, a great name. And as you can see here, we actually have the Skyrim style of Khajiit in this game. This is because of the 9th Kate mod. She also has mods that will replace them with Oblivion style Khajiits or Morrowind style Khajiits, so you can pick whichever one you would like to use. So initially we're going to start with a ton of pop-ups. So these are all the quest packs I have installed, and there's quite a lot of them. So as you can see, this is with vanilla enhanced installed, so it's definitely keeping the vanilla type graphics. You'll also be able to notice straight away that Darker Dungeons is doing its job, as well as improved interior lighting. This place is much more gloomy. If we step over here into this corridor, it's way darker and way scarier, and that light is like a little bastion of hope. Here we can see diverse weapons, which has made the ebony dagger look closer to how it looks in Oblivion. And here Darker Dungeons gives us some torches which we can use. You light the torch, these slowly burn out as with the later games in the series, and now you can see that we have light around our character, and we can turn that off at our discretion. I don't believe it makes any difference to anything like stealth. I don't think that's been programmed in, but it's still an interesting thing nonetheless. You can also see that this iron longsword has a new sprite, and as well in your hand you see they have completely updated models, which is pretty cool. This looks completely different from the vanilla, but still remains to the styling. As you can see, World Tooltips is giving us a nice little tooltip right there. Loot menu is doing its job, so we can take some loot there. The loot menu is really great as well, because you don't have to go into this menu every time you just want to take something. You can just take it in game and get on with it. It's much better for immersion. Darker Dungeons as well allows us to interact with the torches here, and one feature that I really like with that mod that is changeable in the settings is that you can choose which dungeons have lights on or off. So the setting I have chosen is that if a dungeon has primarily creatures inside, so non-humanoids, most of the torches will be set to be off, because obviously a rat isn't going to be able to keep a torch on, whereas a human will. So that's quite a nice little addition. There's no purpose of turning them on and off as you go, especially as my character has a torch equipped at the moment, but I guess if you were to run out of torches, it would be very beneficial to be able to turn these on and off as you go. The loot menu is fully customizable as well, to do with its size and its position on the screen. So if you prefer it in the top right of the screen or to the left of the crosshair, fully customizable in the options for the mod, which is a great addition. Some mods you can actually affect here. Let's say now, let's change the horizontal position to be left of the crosshair. Well, there you go. So you can completely change it in game just like that. And now it doesn't conflict so much with the world tooltips. This is another feature I like. You can see that this enemy actually has different colored armor to what he would normally have. Normally thieves are decked up in all green, but he was wearing a brown or red type of hooded cloak, and that's an addition brought to the game through Vanilla Enhanced. With the Bestiary, you are given the option to view a menu that was once included with the demo of Daggerfall. This allows you to look at every kind of enemy within the game and see an overview of information about them, as well as some stats on how many you have killed. This is a mod that has a very interesting set of options with it as well, which is important to remember that a lot of these mods are fully customizable through these option menus. So with the Bestiary, you have the option to have enemies be added when you kill them, or to have them always permanently unlocked, as well as the Bestiary itself can be a physical item in the world that can be found, such as a book, or it can simply just be a menu that is accessed through the B button. You're also able to play around with the frame rate of the animation, so you can make them painfully slow or hilariously fast. When it comes to the UI, If we go into our character sheet, you'll be able to notice here that it actually shows you how far you have progressed your level, so you know when you go to sleep what you will level up, which is very helpful and honestly should have been included in the base game. And then when you click further, it shows you your current overall level. So this is your per level, so once this goes over 19, then you know you will level up and you will go from 28% to 29% or 30% and so on. Convenient quest log does exactly what the Tribunal expansion did for Morrowind by making your journal far more easy to manage. It puts quests into little titles that you can click on to get all the information, rather than scrolling through your entire quest log trying to find that specific one. Readied Skill Hands is a very simple mod when it comes to the UI, but it really goes a long way on 1, making magic a little bit more usable, and 2, just making it feel like the other games in the series, which is what I'm all about. I want Daggerfall to be as accessible as possible to the newer fans, and this helps with that a little bit more. And honestly, personally, when I first started using magic in the game, I was a bit confused on how to use it because there was no kind of reflection in game that I actually had a spell active, so this does help with that. We're going to begin making our way out of Privateer's Hold here so we can go look at the world, because mostly I've shown everything that the dungeons include, which pertains mostly to the improved lighting and graphics. Sound wise, if I turn the music off here, walking footsteps as I run around, and these footsteps will actually change based on how much you're carrying and what armor you are wearing. So if you're wearing plate armor, it'll sound much heavier than what it currently sounds like, which is very subtle because I'm a cat who weighs very little and just died from jumping. So as an example of this, I've switched to my main character and now listen to as I walk around. You can hear all the things in my inventory bouncing around and my plate armor. And this just really helps. Again, the mod is called Better Ambiance, and it's exactly that. As well as when you're walking around the dungeons, you could traditionally would hear doors open and everything like that, but that's been brought up to the max. It really makes dungeons far scarier and does indeed make the ambience much better. Switching back the good old cat here, and let's make our way out of here. So we've made it outside of Privateer's Hold, and we can see the world of Daggerfall taking effect with these large rock mountains. So these have been or will be updated very soon to be a lot more realistic. At the moment they are an asset taken from Daggerfall and exploded up, so they were meant to be small little purple type rocks, and they've been enlarged to look like this, so they can look a little out of place, especially when you are a lot closer. And with this view, you can see distant terrain working, which makes the distant terrain that you would get traditionally in Daggerfall Unity just far more beautiful, far more realistic, much nicer to look at, especially in this bay. Now you may not be able to see it zoomed in on my crosshair here, but that is a location from the world of Daggerfall. And what I'm going to do now is go to nighttime so you can see that torch lit up. There is also one over here, just to show how many locations have been added into the game world. So let's switch to nighttime now. I unfortunately have a Spriggan chasing me, but he can stay there. So these are some unfortunate glitches you will see with distant terrain. I'm not sure if they will be fixed in the future, but it's a small price to pay for the improved quality overall of the world. But you can see here, that lit up area there, as well as a lit up area over here, and I'm sure as we get closer there'll be even more along here and so on. These are just a few of the additional places added by the world of Daggerfall that actually give you a reason to want to explore, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to start running towards here and just seeing what we find as we go. So as we come along here, you would notice that these rats have just spawned in, so this is wilderness NPCs working. Traditionally in Daggerfall you didn't have any kind of random encounters like this, but now, in this Vanilla Plus build, you do. Unfortunately, these rats would easily kill me, and you can see a bear and a Spriggan fighting over there. While it was a bit janky, obviously they spawned in right in my view, this is exactly how random encounters work in Skyrim. It's just that they don't spawn in so obviously. As we can see there, a bear has spawned in, really making our life very easy here. But they are actually fighting with some orcs or humanoids over there. Now, if I wasn't playing such a weak build, I would of course fight all of these, but this is Daggerfall, it is quite difficult, and my build is not in any position to go and fight the bandits over there. As you can see, the random encounters do get pretty crazy. We now have orcs and all sorts fighting. Makes the exploration a lot more fun. I would be fighting these again if I wasn't playing such a weak character build. Birds of Daggerfall coming in there. You can see some Well, I want to say hawks, I'm not quite sure, flying overhead. As we're getting closer, I'd like to point out, might be quite small to see from here, but that line there, that is a road which has been included due to the basic roads mod, which also adds as an optional feature streams and rivers. One thing I forgot to mention is, as you can see here, this beautiful sun, and notice how the sky has no weird sprites in it. That's because of enhanced sky, which is a massive standout for this build completely, because I can now spin around at no matter what speed I do. You won't get motion sickness because you don't have those weird oversized trees everywhere. Ignoring all these skeletons chasing me, here you can see wildlife. We've got a dog here. You can also find cats, cows, all sorts of living beings out in the world, as well as these wilderness NPCs causing me a bit of trouble here. As you can see, among other wildlife, you can find horses and all sorts as you're traveling in the wilderness. As we get nearer to this unique location in the distance, you can start to make out what looks like to be some sort of shrine, almost taken straight out of Oblivion. That's one of the great things about the world of Daggerfall, is that you just never know what you're gonna find when you see these random bits of torchlight off in the distance. And remember, just like in the later Elder Scrolls, they aren't always super useful. Now I know for a fact that this one isn't gonna be able to do much for us, but it's still interesting nonetheless. And as you can see, here we are, a shrine to Jwlar, the god of prostitution. And as you can see, there's some stuff dotted around here, but none of it is actually usable in any way. But still, it's very nice to have stuff like this out in the open in Daggerfall. Who knows what you can do in the future, you know, maybe there could be some NPCs who offer quests and all sorts, you know, it's that mod is just in beta. There's so much yet to be done. You can see along here, that's a town right there, that you could only get that with distant terrain. You would not get that otherwise. So you can see there's a road going into a town, and there's a road going out. Now, of course, there's no, the town isn't rendered itself, you're just seeing the roads. Distant terrain, unfortunately, isn't quite that good yet, but still, that's very impressive. So let's go and discover what's over there now, and we can just fast travel to do so. These are the little bit of flavor text that's installed alongside the quest mods. This is probably from town descriptions and details, but there are also town greetings of the Iliac Bay and other mods that add these kind of little role-playing elements as you visit somewhere. It's a nice callback to the D&D days of tabletop gaming, and I think it's very nice just to get a feeling of a town when you arrive. If we go up to this lady here, you'll be able to see some animations that she does. This is all from Vanilla Enhanced. And we've got a new quest here, probably from one of the quest packs. Something crunchy in the snow here. You search among the powder and find a crumpled map. So that's a map to a dungeon. If we talk to this lady, you'll see that this is now a modern Oblivion and Skyrim style text function where you can see her herself rather than the old menu. It's a little bit glitchy, as you can see here, but it works just fine. So if we say, hey, I want to know where the local store is, and then she'll help us out there. Some nice birds overhead with a misty morning through Enhanced Sky. Enhanced Sky also gives, you know, new weather effects. As you can see here, there's clearly quite misty in the distance. This is the work of Lively Cities that pots some NPCs outside of taverns as well as other things. It's unfortunately a little bit glitched. It has put a camel here. Now, I don't think camels would be very happy in this environment, but who knows? We've also got dogs, as you can see here, just some wagon wheels dotted around. It just gives a little bit more life to the cities that wasn't there previously. While we're here, let's also check out the interior of this mighty tavern, which will be fully updated due to taverns redone. And we've got some nice ambient text here as well. Mulled wine is the featured drink today in the Mouse and Sword. So while this is just a simple tavern, you can see there's some nice features like large-scale ceilings, and an abundance of rooms for everyone to actually stay in while they're here. This is for sure one of the more derelict looking taverns though, but of course, as with real life, not every tavern can be beautiful inside. Some within the cities are much better than this. Here we can see transparent windows working very well. You can actually see NPCs walking around outside, and you can just see the actual city from the inside of a building, which is really impressive. This is something that you still have to mod into like Oblivion or Skyrim nowadays. Now for a bit of a raunchier mod that sometimes works with taverns being done and doesn't. There seems to be some level of conflict, but that is the restored content of Prostitution. So the prostitute faction always existed in the original game, but its functionality was cut seemingly last minute, probably because of something to do with ESRB. This mod reinstates that function, although I believe a lot of the writing to do with the quest was redone. I don't think that was actually in the files, but either way, there are quests that allow you to hire prostitutes and do exactly what you expect with them. It's very rudimentary, and honestly, it's quite hilarious, the writing that is here. What can I say? It wouldn't be an Elder Scrolls without this kind of mod, now would it? So in this store here, we can actually see some of the repair items available from the repair item mod. So we've got a sewing kit here, which will repair clothing. You've also got lanterns, which you can carry. Oil that you can use to light certain lightings within the dungeons that aren't traditionally torches. Like if you find any oil lamps, you'll need oil to light those. As well as we can see the new sprites here from diverse weapons, which look very nice. So with these items, you use them as if you would in Morrowind or Oblivion. You just click on them and then you will have a list that you can choose to repair from. At the moment, I don't currently have anything that needs repair, but it's good to have these items available at all times. And of course, like in Oblivion and Morrowind, their condition over time slowly deteriorates until they get broken. A nice addition when selling to a shop now is we have limited gold supply. So this shop still has a ton of gold, but you know by late game you could easily rack up more than this, and rather than being able to sell millions of worth of items just to one paltry small store in a village, now there's a bit more immersion that of course the store cannot afford every good that you throw at it. This mod also brings investing, as you can see here. Now I don't have the intelligence or the mercantile to do so yet, but that works similarly to how it works in Skyrim, where you can invest in a shop and you'll get some money back over time. Here you can see the abundance of additions made by the Jewelry Additions mod, which adds just far more jewelry to the game, allowing you to deck out your character. Unfortunately, it's not visible on the paper doll itself, but they are all enchantable, so it's just nice to have a bit more variety in the game. Training Service Overhaul allows you to completely customize the training within the game, making it a little bit more immersive and allowing you to train to way higher levels than you could in the original game. Skill books are simple enough, implementing books that work a little bit different than the later games in the title, but still have the intended purpose of a book that you can read to improve your level of what that book is actually about. If you've ever played Kingdom Come Deliverance, they work similarly to that, where you read the book for an extended period of time and learn more about the subject it's about as you read it. As this happens, in-game time passes, as well as your fatigue meter will go down to reflect the amount of time that has passed. While it is winter here, there's still some grass popping out from the Real Grass mod that sways quite nicely in the wind. In the more temperate locations, there will be a whole lot more grass than what you just see here. And this is one of the roads from Basic Roads that you can just travel on for miles. It connects every town and hamlet and city in the game, from small dirt tracks up to wide roads like this. Travelling on these roads in the Vanilla Plus build is more of a novelty, as the build tries to remain close to the ethos of the original Vanilla Daggerfall, hence fast travel is still the preferred option of getting around, but optionally you can install travel options, which I show off more in the complete Overhaul extended video. But personally I believe for the vanilla feel that fast travel should still be the main mode of transportation. So I've done some travelling and I've come across a travelling alchemist who you can talk to, and he can help you buy some potions. This is really cool, especially if you travel to a dungeon. They'll sometimes be outside the dungeon and they can sell you things like health potions and all sorts just to help you out as you progress through the game. Traveling some more and I have come across a group of adventurers. As you can see, they don't have a lot to say, but it's just a nice addition of immersion to the game. Arriving at this farm, and you can see some restored content here in the form of a windmill. These were in the original game files, but just simply weren't implemented, possibly because they wouldn't have ran quite well on the hardware back then, we don't know, but here they are, restored in Daggerfall Unity. As we're here at a farm, let's skip the summer where we can harvest some crops. This is a really cool mechanic that fits right in with the new games, allowing you to find some ingredients that you can use in alchemy. Here we are in a much warmer time of year, and you can see all the grass that Real Grass adds. It really just helps to make the game feel that much more alive, especially with how it sways in the wind. A very nice addition that I think is almost a must-have if you've done a mod Daggerfall. Detailed walls adds detailed interiors to the walls as well as some quests associated with them from the gods inside. This just helps to bulk out cities and make them feel a little bit more lived in, a little bit more real, and helps them fit better with Oblivion that had the similar thing in the Imperial City. There are even dungeons underneath where you can see some prisoners. Let's show off a little bit more of that improved interior lighting. I think this scenario shows it off the best, especially as we open the doors here, just allowing that shadow to come through on the floor, and you can see how the torchlight gives this place such a warm but very regal interior, which is of course fitting given that it is a throne room. Improved interior lighting is a must-have graphics mod. I personally believe it still does fit that vanilla styling. This is a very small mod. Level Ascension imports the level up text from Morrowind and Oblivion into Daggerfall. It's very simple, but honestly it's quite nice to have it here. Level Up Adjuster is a fully customizable mod that allows you to change leveling up to your discretion, making the game as easy or as difficult as you want. Now, you could argue this doesn't really fit in the Vanilla Plus build, and I went back and forth on it, but I still think it's quite nice to have because some of the leveling up in the game can be a bit difficult for new players, and I think allowing players to choose how many attribute points they get per level or play around with the hit points they get per level can make it easier or harder up to their discretion. I didn't cover every little mod here, but I've gone over the majority of them, and I hope this has been a decent enough overview to show you exactly what this build is about. This style of video is not something I'm very good at, as you can probably tell. Live commentary is not my forte, but this is just a small little side video to give you a taster of what you can expect from the Vanilla Plus build.